the season in the outside pole position. Best start of the season for Brian Herta, who starts inside row 2. His Andretti Green teammate Dan Weldon, second in the point standings, will start outside the second row. In the third row, on the inside, Tony Kanaan, a two-time winner and points leader, starting inside, outside, Darren Manning. In the fourth row, Dario Franchitti and last year's seasonal champion, Scott Dixon. Move to row 5 on the inside. It's Sam Hornish driving his first season for Roger Penske and Marlboro Racing, and Thomas Scheckter, the best start for a Chevrolet powered car outside of row 5. In the sixth row, it's Elio Castro Neves and Townsend Bell. Townsend Bell driving the second race for this particular team. In the seventh row, we have the Fernandez teammates, Adrian, the team owner, and his teammate Matsura outside row 7. In the eighth row, Scott Sharp, his 90th straight start. He's won at least one event in every of the last 7 seasons. Jacques Lazier and Mark Taylor will occupy the 10th row, 9th row. In the 10th row, Felipe Giafoni, and Ed Carpenter and A.J. Foyt.
Well, they're going to get the green flag this time down.
I'd like to welcome Jerry Punch, Paul Page, to our ESPN broadcast here this evening.
Well, here's the race analysis. 200 laps. Buddy Rice on the pole. Gilles de Ferron isn't here. Critical thing is the pit window. 50 to 54 laps on fuel, but they're not going to go that far. 35 laps, 40 laps on tires is all these cars are going to go.
They come off the corner. And the green flag flies. We are underway, and it's Ray Hall, Letterman team up in front. They're still running in some cases side by side, though, on this opening lap. And look at Vito Mira. He takes a look to the inside, but and takes the lead.
Wow.
He had a look to the inside and went on by to lead that first lap.
Yeah, I think Buddy Rice thought, well, if he wants it that bad, I'm just going to let him go. Man, oh man. Now Buddy Rice falls back a little bit as Weldon goes to the outside of him.
Side by side, off the corner, Dan Weldon goes to second. Buddy Rice drops to third.
Well, we just got through saying you weren't going to see these guys running side by side on this racetrack, and already they're doing that as they really jumped to the outside and made that stick. Weldon especially did a great job there in the first 2 laps.
Well, Vito Mira led 37 laps of the last race, so he's led now at least a lap in the last couple of outings. He's finished second the last 2 times. And such a heartbreaker for him, because he thought he had, well, he actually had the fastest time on the racetrack, but lost that time in the pit area 2 weeks ago, and that cost him the win.
Right, now we look backwards out of Buddy Rice's car at Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan looks like he gets a run on him down this front straightaway. He looks to the outside. Now he thinks better of it, falls in behind him.
Well, Tony Kanaan has led the most laps this season. He's led 4 different races for 439 laps.
Wow. Now Sam Hornish, as he is in that Penske car, he goes to the outside of Kanaan. Oh, look how hard it is. That was so close. As he got to the outside of Kanaan, he's going to make the pass.
And that's Toyota power on the high side of Honda power, but he's yet to make that pass. He had the front wing by a few inches out in front in this battle for position, but now they're back side by side, and now maybe Hornish does have the call.
He's going to have to run the outside. 3 and 4 is very, very difficult to run the outside. You can see right there how rough it is out there as he bottomed out. That Sparks from the race car actually bottoming out on the rough spot there in turns 3 and 4.
Your leader is Vito Mira, leads for the second time this season. He led 37 laps 2 weeks ago. Weldon is second. You're watching this great battle for 4th position.
Sam Hornish finally wins as he persevered on that outside.
Just muzzled his way by.
Boy, Tony Kanaan gave him room, but that's very, very tough to do when you're on the outside like that.
Nobody, Larry, runs that high groove like Sam Hornish. We have seen that over and over again, countless times. That is what's helped him to 2 IRL championships. But he runs out there in no man's land. Nobody else likes to get quite that high, but maybe Thomas Scheckter.
Well, yes, and this racetrack is banked at 14 degrees. We've seen a lot of the tri-ovals, but this is a 1.3-mile circuit, not a 1.5-mile circuit. And that means that the corners are sharper. So even though the banking is as much as it is on some of the other tri-ovals, the corners being sharper makes it that much more difficult. Plus the fact that this is concrete, And by halfway mark, there's going to be a lot of marbles up in that second groove. I don't think you're going to see guys out there very often.
Well, the banking in the corners, you mentioned 14 degrees. On the backstretch, 9 degrees. So not much transition from the corner to the backstretch. The front stretch is banked 6 degrees. By comparison, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway flat on the straightaways banked 9 degrees in the corners.
Now there we ride along with Brian Herter. We look out the back of his car.
Back in the 7th position, so he's dropped some positions from his third place starting spot. He's dropped 4 positions.
Yeah, he had a very good qualifying run, but right now he's fallen back about 4.5 seconds behind the leader.
At one point at the start, the Andretti Green team had 4 of the top 7 starting positions. There's a look at Vitor Meira, who got the good jump at the start and has moved out to over a second advantage now over Dan Weldon. And we have a yellow, the first yellow of the evening.
Everybody,
we have some debris on the backstretch.
Well, we're only 10 laps into the race, so it'll be interesting to see if anybody comes in and makes a pit stop this early. Remember, they can run 50 laps on fuel, but they can only run about 35, 40 laps. Pits are closed. That sign is an indication that the pits are closed. You cannot go into pits right now.
So Meira had worked out to a 1.1 second advantage over Weldon. That closes down under yellow. There's Fernandez. Fernandez now back in the 12th starting position.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. He's had a little trouble here at this racetrack. This racetrack's extremely bumpy, and he was one of the guys who talked about how rough it was and how hard it was going to be on the tires.
Is it also a combination, Larry? We've talked a lot this season, particularly with the retirement of Al Unser Jr., about how difficult these cars are to drive this year. They've taken away about 400 pounds of downforce. Combine that with a rough racetrack, and these can be difficult cars to hang on to.
Yeah, it's very hard. That's the reason it's so surprising to see those guys on the outside making passes this early in the race. I thought they would have been a lot more careful than that, not take any chances that early, but you know, guys like Hornish and Weldon, they were out there thinking, boy, you got to make passes while you can make them, and early is the best time.
Well, right now, behind the pace vehicle, Meira, Weldon, Rice. Hornish is 4th, Kanaan is 5th, Manning, then Herta, Scheckter, Dixon, Castro-Neves rounding out the top 10. So Honda's running the top 3 positions. 4th is Hornish with a Toyota. 5th is Kanaan with Honda. Manning has a Toyota in 6th. Honda is 7th with Herta, and then the best Chevrolet is Scheckter in the 8th position.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to see anybody come in this time. I thought we might see 1 or 2 guys maybe duck in. Usually, the usual practice in the IRL is you get 8 sets of tires.
Let's look at Mark Taylor, who is down the Access Motorsports number 13. That is the car that is owned in part by its ex-driver, Greg Ray. And they did not run last week. They were basically out of money. So Mark Taylor has obviously brought some funds to this team to help them, and this is a season-long deal now for him.
Yes, and that'll help him because he's off sequence now. He's got a better chance of getting up towards the front.
Also, Jacques Lazier has picked up a ride in the number 20 Patrick Racing stable, but that is a race-to-race situation for Jacques Lazier.
Vitor just leaping ahead. I mean, they look at that there. You know, they got 4 or 5 car lengths straight away. But he's obviously got himself together. And
action coming up. Let's rejoin our commentators, Larry Rice, once again, and his colleague Gary Lee.
You see the gap between the first and second.
Yeah,
we're in a section of the season now where there's like 8 races in 10 weeks, which is, I think, probably tougher on the crew members than on the drivers themselves. I mean, next week we go to Milwaukee, the first time for the Indy Racing League on the Milwaukee Mile in southern Wisconsin. So we have 3 races in a row before we have a weekend off.
Look at this, Castro-Neves in a battle here as Fernandez goes down underneath Castro-Neves.
Tucked in behind Townsend Bell.
Townsend Bell started pretty far back, having a good
Bell's up in 11th position right now. That's Castro-Neves in 12th and Fernandez in 13. And you know, this season we have seen Elio and even his teammate Hornish back mid-pack a number of times, where in the past we haven't seen that from Team Penske.
Well, I think we've talked about the Honda advantage all year long. First 4 cars in this race are now Hondas, and it's a huge disadvantage. Of course, Sam Hornish, he battled that all last year with the Chevrolet. Finally got a Chevrolet under him that was more powerful for the last few races and was very successful. But I think a lot of it has to do with, 20 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot. Boy, in these cars, it is a lot.
Back on board with Townsend Bell, the new driver of this. This is a team association with the Panther race team. It's the old John Menard team. Mark Taylor began the year. He was released before the last race. Townsend Bell took over, and Mark Taylor was able to obtain that ride, the number 13 Access Motorsports entry. Mark Taylor right now back in 15th, make that 19th position. Bell is up in 11th.
Yeah, Townsend Bell doing a pretty nice job, and I think he has Tom Sneva as his spotter. That always helps to have a former driver that well qualified. Of course, we all know that Pancho Carter is the spotter for Thomas Scheckter, his teammate. But a lot of these teams are now hiring former drivers as spotters because they realize how important that position is.
Well, Al Unser, who just retired a few weeks ago, is spotting for the number 20 car here this afternoon for Jacques Lazier.
Right, I think Davey Hamilton is spotting for Ed Carpenter, so a lot of former drivers now taking up that position.
The trouble is, Tom Sneva likes to talk so much, I'm not sure that you want to hear your spotter talking that much.
Well, you don't want him making jokes at the force.
Well, that's Sneva, too.
That's right.
Sneva has a story or a joke for every occasion.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a look at Sam Hornish, number 6, back in the 5th position. Kanaan right in front of him in that green and white Big Gulf car. And then Kanaan's teammate Weldon riding in 3rd position. So you have Team Rahal in the first 2 spots, and then you have the 3rd and 4th spot with Andretti Green.
Right, and Sam Hornish and Thomas Scheckter make up the next 2 spots. Everybody seems to be running pretty much lockstep right now, running pretty much the same speed. There you take a look at Tony Kanaan. He's been running it in the finish of every race this year. The only car to do so. And that has a lot to do with why he's leading the points.
Well, right now he has a 28-point margin over his teammate Dan Weldon, a 50-point margin over Buddy Rice. Castro Neves is now 4th, some 68 points back, and Ryan Herta is 5th, 42 points back. So you take a look at the top 5, and Andretti Green with 3 of the top 5, including the top 2. They have to be thinking right now their tough competition is not coming from the Penske organization, but from the Rahal Letterman group.
Right. Now they've run 30 laps right now. In practice, they were getting about 40 laps on a set of tires before they were just absolutely one away. Now they did run about 5 laps under the yellow, so we'll see if they go maybe to 40, maybe 45. But I think you're going to see almost all these cars pitting here in the next 10 laps or so, because they don't want to take a chance on wearing those tires completely out and having a blowout. If you do, it's going to be a crash.
Well, right now, almost a second advantage between Mira and his teammate Rice. Weldon in 3rd position, almost 2.5 seconds behind the leader. Then it's Kanaan, Hornish, Scheckter, Manning. Dixon now with that possible clutch problem back in 8th position. 9th is Herta, and 10th is Franchitti. So we will know certainly on this first pit stop if, in fact, Scott Dixon has a clutch problem. 31 of 200 laps, Vito Mira leading his teammate Buddy Rice. Riding along with Rice now back in 2nd position. And that lead continues to expand, now over 1.3 seconds.
Wow, you could see Mira when he got down out of the groove on the inside, got into the dust down there as he lapped. It looks like Ed Carpenter that's going around. Carpenter not having a good day. He's down, the only car down 1 lap, and he's had trouble here all week long. He just never has found the handle in this racetrack, and has been slow in every practice session. Slow to qualify.
You know, Larry, for someone who's never driven a race car, is there another yellow, another debris yellow? We're being told our 2nd yellow of the afternoon for debris.
Gosh.
Coming out on the 35th lap. I was about to say that it's sometimes difficult if you've never driven a race car to comprehend how you'd be so fast at one track and never really get a good feel on the race car on a different track. With this concrete track, some of these guys are just not getting the feel for it.
No, they just they don't like how rough it is, bouncing. You know, you can't tell whether the race car is really working because it's bouncing around so much. So we'll see
Well, we're seeing the crews get ready for the first round of pit stops. They didn't stop the first time because that yellow came out on lap 11, but with this yellow coming out on lap 35, it is in the pit window, and we'll see all the drivers pull off the racetrack. Live coverage from Nashville Superspeedway. Gary Lee, Larry Rice. We are ready for pit stops. The crew members are ready for pit stops. Our second yellow of the race. Again, it's for debris. This came on lap 35. And so the pits are still closed. Look for them to come off the banking the next time by, and we will see wholesale pit stops.
Yeah, you can see the guy down there with holding the flag, motioning it. Looked like he was heading back off the racetrack. So next time by, the pits will be open. And I guarantee you, every one of these guys, not every one of them, the guys who stopped earlier, Taylor, Sharp, some of those guys who made a stop after 10 laps, they may not come in, but everybody else will.
And those tires will be used up.
They will be looked at very closely. There'll be a lot of scrutiny on the tires, how well they have worn.
We had a soda can in turn 4.
Yes, but anyway,
it was not Red Bull.
And it was not a Red Bull fan. That's right. Eddie Cheever did not throw, or no, I shouldn't say. Anyway,
it was tossed from the cockpit, right? We need a yellow.
Right.
Well, look at this. We've got one of the Red Bull cars there on that pit apron. Here they all come in. Here they all come in.
Now he said he came down early. I don't think he was supposed to come to the inside. He got his lap back by virtue of doing that. We'll see how that plays. But this is going to be an important pit stop for these guys. Everybody heading in.
Comes Thomas Schechter. The Pentel Panther crew goes to work on that car. Quick stop, and he's back underway. There's Dan Weldon. And there is your leader coming off the track into the pit. And it looks like he's going to lead come back out.
Well, it's a close race between Schechter and Buddy Rice, who was second. I don't know. I mean, Hornish and Buddy Rice, who was second. I'm not sure who got it.
Hornish apparently he had the nose up at the line over Rice. So on this restart, Mira will continue to lead. He's led from the opening green, so he's led 38 laps now. And on the restart,
yeah, see, Kanon's up behind him, but they're going to reposition those guys.
They're going to put Hornish up there. Let's watch again.
Yeah,
there's Vitor.
Look at Hornish. Wow.
Almost a photo finish, though. But, well, not a finish, but
almost a dead heat between those two guys. Yeah. But
between Rice and
Hornish basically had a little momentum on the outside. It's the reason he beat them to that line. They ran across that line like 3 and 4 abreast. That's Rice, of course, has the very end pit position. That helps him, but didn't help him enough right there.
Go back and show you what transpired in the pit area during a pit stop for Dan Weldon from 2 weeks ago when he pulled over the refueling rig.
Right. You know, these things are timed down to the very end. Everybody does their job. Let's go back and take a look what happens here. The guy that they're
told right here to go. Now watch.
He's the guy who tells him to go. See, he wasn't watching. He never looked up at the fuel guy. The fuel guy had never pulled that fuel loose. That's the guy's job who changes that right front. There comes the fuel tank over, and if that had spilled and caught on fire. Now watch back here. Well, the fuel tank just almost falls on that pit crew member back there. If it had fallen on him, it would have definitely broken his leg.
Well, he almost ran over the left rear tire changer.
Those fuel tanks, when they're full, I think they have 250 gallons or 280 gallons in them. Well, with 7 pounds per gallon, that's a lot of weight. If it falls on you, it's going to hurt.
Okay, here's your restart order now. Mira, Hornish, Kanan, Rice. Rice was the big loser on that pit stop. He dropped from 2nd to 4th. Weldon and Manning.
Yeah, Weldon fell back a little bit too, but
Dixon is back in 15th position, so he was able to make his pit stop and get out, but perhaps that problem was not in the clutch.
Well, Hornish obviously got in and out of the pits extremely well, because he moved from 4th up to 2nd spot. So he and his crew.
That has been really a hallmark of Penske racing. pit strategy and pit work.
But if you remember, even in Hornish's very early days, the first year he ran here, he lost the lead a couple of times in the pits and drove back around guys, but then they got better in the pit area, Panther did, as that year went along.
The base vehicle, that SSR Chevrolet Retro look, driven by three-time Indianapolis 500 champion Johnny Rutherford, remains on the track. So the yellow is longer than we really need to pick up a pop can, but they left the yellow out to give everybody a chance to make the pit stop.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an extended yellow. They're going to put Carpenter to the back, as I suspected, because what he did when he's dropped down and passed everybody on that, as they were coming into the pit area, the officials have said, no, you can't do that. You have to stay in line and follow in your position. So they're going to put him to the tail of the field where he was when they went into the pits.
Sam Hornish won the opener in his debut for Roger Penske, then Tony Kanaan, Buddy Rice, Dan Weldon won Motegi. First 4 races of the season.
You can see that we've got 3 different guys that have won twice this year. So Hornish would like to become the 4th member of that little group, I can tell you.
All right, let's see what Hornish can do on this restart. We saw that Vitor got a very good restart the last time when the green came out on lap 15 off that first debris yellow.
Well, the restarts, again, very important. Guy that can get a jump on a restart and maybe gain a spot, it's going to help him a lot during the event.
Well, there's the pearl flag, so we will go one more lap before we turn them loose. So a rather lengthy 7-lap yellow period for that pop can. But all have made their pit stops now.
Now they'll
be good for another 40 laps or so.
Buddy Rice is now in 3rd. They've changed their mind on that again. They had Hornish or Kanaan in 3rd. Maybe that's what was that. That's the reason the yellow was a little longer. They had to get the lineup straightened out.
And now they're not going to start him this time, apparently. They called off this start for some reason.
See, and this is the great thing about radios. They can tell them that over the radio. I think some of the people in the back were not lined up. They were trying to do what I said. They were trying to get a jump and to get around somebody.
Closest finishes, we saw the second closest just 2 weeks ago in Kansas with Rice over Mira by 51 10,000ths of a second. Look at that. Chicagoland in 02, Hornish over Unser, 24 10,000ths of a second. Then Hornish over Castroneves was at Texas in 03 was 56 10,000ths. Look at how close those things are. Ward over Unser at Texas, 59 10,000ths.
Yeah.
You can't even blink your eye that fast.
And Hornish has been involved in 3 of those 5 finishes.
All right, the green flag is going to fly this time as they complete lap number 43. Look out! Here comes Rice on the inside, and here comes Kanaan on the inside.
Hornish got a terrible, terrible restart.
Lost 2 positions. Oh, almost contact right there.
I think
something's wrong with Schechter.
Man. He almost took, was that Weldon? He almost took.
That was Castroneves.
Castroneves?
Boy, he has just not come up to song. Now he's still not up to song. But he's going to stay out.
Well, it looks, I think he got up in the marbles and just couldn't get going again.
Well, they were scrambling for position on that restart. And Rice had a nice restart. Hornish dropped 2 positions from 2nd to 4th.
Wow. Yeah, it looks.
Look at this. They're still stacked up too wide.
Well, once again, I think those guys got up there a little bit wide and had to slow down when they got way up there out of the groove. Man, oh man, that's pretty scary when you get that far out on the racetrack.
Sharp there in the 15th position. Now, Sharp has won at least 1 race over the last 7 seasons, but he's not won since Motegi last year, and he has struggled. And there's a look at the 13 car, Mark Taylor, up behind the number 20 of Jacques Lazier, Jacques' first race of the season for the Patrick Racing organization.
Castroneves back there, who got
back in 15th, 16th position.
Yeah, he got all tangled up there when Schechter got in trouble and fell way back. So he's got a lot of people to pass now to get back up front. Look at this.
Jacques, and there goes Mark Taylor on the inside, like Jacques just parked against the fence.
Yeah, I think Jacques saw him coming and decided to let him go that time because he tried to stick his nose in there last time. And thought maybe he didn't want to crash, so he just let it go.
Taylor pulls up behind Giafone. Giafone, a former Rookie of the Year with the Indy Racing League, now back in the 17th position. He took over that car from Robbie Buell when Robbie retired before the Indy 500. And look how rough it is. We go back on board with number 15, Buddy Rice, who's back there in second position. And there's the leader right in front of him.
And you can see those.
It's dizzy. It's bouncing around.
It's really
glare in the corner.
So it's not an easy job to drive these things anywhere, but this racetrack's particularly difficult because of this surface and how rough it is, and it affects your eyes the same as it's affecting that camera. Your eyes jiggle around like that, not quite that much. Your body adjusts to it a little better than the camera does, but still, it does distort your vision a little bit, and that glare that you're seeing there, it's probably one of the worst enemies of a race car driver when you're driving into that sun. You can't see where you're going.
Well, 50 laps are now complete, 25% of the race, 200 laps the scheduled event here, and right now Kanaan has dropped in third position, has dropped to 1.2 seconds behind Vito Mira. So 50 at 200 laps, and Mira leads his teammate Buddy Rice. 56 laps now complete, with Mira leading Rice, his teammate, then Kanaan, Hornish, Weldon, and Manning. And you made a comment on one of the other, we have 3 night races. You made a comment that the drivers really would prefer to race in the afternoon or totally after dark, not make that transition because the cars do change as the temperature drops.
Well, not only is it glare from the sun, and almost any racetrack that you race this time of day, at one point in the racetrack or another, you're looking into that sun. That's bad, but the big difference is, especially, it's not quite as true here as it is on an asphalt racetrack, but on an asphalt racetrack, when you go from the sunshine to darkness and that asphalt cools down, it really makes a huge difference in how the cars handle. Because the cement is white, it doesn't have quite that effect here, but just the bumpiness and the glare on your eyes really hurts you here.
Hornish and Weldon, the battle for 4th position. Hornish so far the best with Toyota power, back in 4th position. The best Chevrolet is now Townsend Bell. He is up in 7th position. It had been Schechter, but Schechter is all the way back in 20th after that problemed restart, running along with Darren Manning.
Yeah, the more I think about what we saw there is I think Schechter got up in the marbles on the outside, and once he got up there, he just had to almost stop to get that thing to turn and get back down the racetrack. Look at
Hornish. Wrong with Hornish. Hornish just lost 2 positions. Now making it 3 positions.
Wow. Whatever happened to him, it happened all of a sudden because he just...
maybe he got a little wide as well. We talked about how narrow this racing groove is, and if he got a foot or two, 18 inches outside that racing groove, he had to backpedal.
Boy, he must have had to really climb out of the throttle coming off of turn 2 because he lost 3 spots down that back straightaway. And you can see right there, it wasn't the engine. The engine didn't have anything to do with it. It's still just as fast as the guys in front of him.
Townsend Bell is in that blue number 2. He races in 6th position.
This could be a race.
Fernandez, he is presently 9th.
This could be a race where the guy who makes the least mistakes is going to win because, boy, if you get up out of that groove, it appears that you almost have to stop to get that thing turned. It
would seem the place to be is up in front. Yellow flag. First yellow for a crash. That's the 52 car Carpenter. Carpenter's running to 2 laps off the pace. So on lap 63, our 3rd yellow for a crash involving rookie Ed Carpenter.
Yeah, and he's damaged the right side of that car pretty badly. The right rear tire's still dangling on there, but that's just about all, just barely hanging on.
It's hard to say. It's obvious you want to be up in front, but the best place to be on this racetrack is up in front because it's difficult to pass. The groove is very narrow, and if you can stay up in front and not make a mistake, you've got the best shot of winning.
That's right.
At some other racetracks where you can actually draft by somebody, the best spot to be may not be the top spot.
Right. It's you always want to be close to the front, but it doesn't at this place. Absolutely, as hard as it is to pass. Let's see if we can see what happens. He got in the marbles, started pushing the front end, and he just couldn't get a turn. Once that thing
of Butler University in Indianapolis with a degree in marketing, and you're absolutely right. The car just pushed him right to the fence.
Yep, he was up in that higher groove, and he just got some marbles on the tire. And once he got marbles on the tire, it just absolutely would not turn. Just took him right into the fence.
Carpenter, who came through quarter midgets to TQs, full-size midgets to the Infinity Pro Series. Won the inaugural Infinity Pro race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Right, so we've got yet another yellow as the action is interrupted for this Indy 200 race, the Nashville Super Speedway action. Once again.
And you can see everybody kind of jockeying, getting inside or outside of the guy in front of you so you can get into your pits nice and cleanly.
And you think the LA freeway is busy.
Yeah, look at this. They're going everywhere. At the last minute, they dive in. There's Townsend Bell as he went in.
But the concentration factor in just finding your pit in all this mess.
Well, you have to work on that. You have to know exactly where you are, what your guys look like. They're out there. As we see Sam Hornish, nice pit stop. Vito Mira, who obviously very good.
Great pit work.
Ray Hall's crew did a great job. Went in 1 and 2, came out 1 and 2.
I want to hear from Dario Franchitti, who lives here in the Nashville area with his wife Ashley Judd, who is now out of competition, pulled in to make that routine pit stop, and the car did not allow him to go back out in competition. And we also lost Jacques Lazier on that pit stop.
Now you see that white truck up there in the corner? They're doing a little track cleanup while the yellow flag is out. They're trying to get some of those marbles off the racetrack so we don't have a repeat of what happened to Thomas Schechter.
Let's go down to the pit area and Dario Franchitti. There he is.
The car went down off the jacks. I selected first and broke the gearbox. So pretty disappointing.
I saw they pulled the car about 10 feet from us here behind the pits. They're going to try to get you back out because you're so tight in the points.
We're making a decision how many points we would possibly gain by going back out. So that's going to be Kyle Moyer's decision.
All right, they're going to try to work on Dario's car. He currently stands 7th in the standings. Let's check in with Jamie.
Thought we were going to have Jacques Lazier there with Jamie. There she is.
There, we broke another axle, so very unfortunate. You know, we'll diagnose the problem and find out exactly what's going on. It's very unfortunate because that last pit stop, we made some changes to the car, and you know everything was starting to come to us. Unfortunately, you know, there was a little incident over in turn 2, and it kind of got bottled up, and I picked the wrong lane and went to the bottom, and everyone else went high, and you know a couple people were able to get by us, but you know it's really too bad because the Patrick Racing Stacker 2 Chevy was definitely getting real good and strong, and we were looking forward to the end of the race.
Hate to see this guy out of the car. Jack?
We would certainly hope that he can maintain that ride throughout the season. Nobody's braver than Jacques Lazier out there, but he's bounced around a bit during his IndyCar career.
An extremely nice guy, too. I hate to see a guy like him have trouble getting a ride because he's a good race car driver, very personable young man, and, you know, sometimes things just work out that way.
And drove really in the shadow of his brother Buddy for a long time.
Exactly.
So Buddy's still looking for a ride with Hemmelgarn Racing on the sideline, the 1996 Indianapolis 500 winner.
Well, there's a guy that had a heck of a pit stop. Adrian Fernandez went in about 6th or 7th, came out in 3rd position. He got around Kanaan and Weldon and Manning, I think, all 3. So Fernandez having a heck of a race here after, you know, we talked to him earlier in the day, and he just wasn't sure how the race car was handling. He wasn't sure how he liked this racetrack. He wasn't sure about anything, really, but obviously much better now.
Well, now he's the elder statesman of this racing league with the retirement of 42-year-old Al Unser Jr. That makes me feel real old because I was covering the race at Riverside, California when little Al made his debut. That was about 1983, as I recall, and now the guy retires.
Yeah. They ride along with that helmet cam. That's from the inside of the helmet.
Scott Sharp.
Scott Sharp. That glare that you see there, he won't see from the inside of his, from his viewpoint, but because the visor is up right now, getting a little air in there. He'll push that down once the race starts, and that glare won't be there.
Well, it looks like Vito Mira is going to get the bonus points for leading the most laps, which will certainly help him in the point standings. Boy, he's really come on here as of late.
Well, I guess the last 2 or 3 races, he's just been phenomenal. Last 2 especially. And he ran good at Indianapolis, if you remember right. He passed probably more cars than anybody else at the Indianapolis 500, but he kept having all kinds of trouble.
Well, he didn't race till Texas. He missed the first 2 races of the year.
Right. but at Indy's was his first race, and he passed a lot of cars, but kept having all kinds of problems.
Let me tell you, his first race was Motegi, where he finished 17th, and then he finished 6th at Indianapolis and 6th at Texas, then 2 second-place finishes the last 2 outings.
Oh, look
Look out, hang on, no start. They've waved off the start, but that's a dangerous proposition when these guys are coming up through the gearbox and coming up to full song to wave off that start.
Well, the reason they called it off is because they were 3 abreast coming off of turn 4.
Let's see if we can hear from Eddie Carpenter on what happened out there. The team Cheever number 52, the young rookie from Indianapolis, as they've waved off that start and they begin to bunch up again behind your leader.
We were struggling all weekend, and Mira was coming up to lap me and just gave him a little room. I mean, you have to respect the leader and just try tucking in back underneath him going into 3 and just got in the marbles and it would never turn.
As they jockey for position on the restart. I'll tell you, Vito's getting done in the pit area and on these restarts.
Man, look at these guys in the back
3
straightaway.
wide. Who said you can't go 3 wide? But they quickly get back to single file.
Well, I guess, but down that back straightaway, they were really everywhere.
But that's the time to pick up. This is a very difficult track to pass on, so if you can pick off 2 or 3 spots on the restart, those are guys you don't have to pass a little later on.
Yeah, that was Manning who came clear down to the inside, and now then, looks like Hornish is getting down to the inside.
Hornish on the inside of Kanaan, and he stays down there, and that's Manning right in front of him.
Well, Kanaan either has picked up a set of tires not to his liking or something, as he's lost 2 or 3 spots here after the restart.
Vito Mira up in front has gotten over a half-second lead over Rice.
And look at Hornish. He just stays to that outside a lot higher.
Oh, almost contact right there as he steered to the inside. Oh, that was close.
Yeah, and you can see right there that he had a little bit of a run, but he just couldn't get around Manning. Manning, he just held his line.
Both running Toyotas.
Yeah.
Honda's running the top 4 positions. Mira, Rice, Weldon, Fernandez. Then a pair of Toyotas and Manning and Hornish. Then the Honda of Kanaan. Then the Chevrolet of Townsend Bell. And there goes Hornish around Manning. So Hornish moves up to 5th position.
Wow, after that last segment where he went way to the back, all of a sudden, again, stagger makes a lot of difference. And if you get a set of tires that are just a little bit off, it can make a huge difference in the handling. Obviously, that last time out, Hornish had a set of tires he did not like.
Well, we keep talking about this concrete surface, but realistically, that enhances an ill-handling car. It just brings the handling out even more.
Oh, yeah. If you've got a really good handling car, it just makes it so much better. But if you've got something that's really bad, it really sends you to the back. Weldon's gotten around Fernandez now. He's moved up into 3rd.
So Fernandez is 4th. There's Dan Weldon. He's won a couple of times so far this season. He's 2nd in the point standings to his teammate Tony Kanaan. But I'll tell you, the way this Ray Hall Letterman team's been coming on, they may be looking over their shoulders in the point standings at Rice and Vitor Mira coming up. Vitor is 3rd in the point standings. There's Fernandez. Back there in the 4th position. Here comes Hornish.
Hornish is really on a roll now, boy. He's been really running well since that last pit stop.
Well, Hornish, though, this season has been at the wrong spot at the wrong time countless times. He's been taken out with crashes that were not his fault. He did something no other Roger Penske driver has ever done, and he's had some of the best in the business. He won in his debut back at Homestead.
Yeah, and since then he's just had all kinds of bad luck. I think he'd give that win back if all the other races had been a little more kind to him. But it seems like you're right. Whatever could go wrong has gone wrong for Sam Hornish this year.
Well, Hornish finds himself back in 8th position, some 115 points behind the leader, but that is not an insurmountable lead the way this racing season has been going. There's a look at Tony Kanaan. Kanaan leads the point standings right now by some 28 markers over Dan Weldon and 50 over Buddy Rice. But right now, Kanaan's back in 7th position.
Now we're riding along with Scott Dixon, who's got to be the most disappointed driver on the whole circuit this year. He's just had a miserable year. He's running right now back in 14th spot. he's been running back in the second 10 most of the season this year. Last year he was running in the top 5 continuously, led almost every race, and this year, for whatever reason, he just can't get out of his own way. He just can't get that thing going this year.
He led 3 laps of the first race at Homestead, the only laps he has led all season. Right now, Scott finds himself back in 6th position, only 111 points out of the lead. And realistically, for the kind of season he's had, that's not a bad position to be in.
Yeah, if I were to guess, I would have never guessed he was that far up, because he's just had an absolutely awful season. Now, there's Townsend Bell, who's had a really good run here today. He started back 12th, really had a great run, been in the top 10 all day long, and battling for the top 5 spot most of the time. He's now running an 8.
Eric Haverson, the crew chief on that Townsend Bell car. That's the Menards Johns Manville entry, which is actually being run out of the Pennzoil Panther racing organization.
Right, he started back in, like we said, in 12th spot. He's moved his way up to 8th. He got up to about, I think it was 5th spot there a little earlier, but he's run well all day, and he's been right within 4 or 5 seconds of the lead pretty much all day long.
If you asked Townsend Bell about 3 years ago, where will you be in 2004, he would have said Formula 1.
Yep.
He's done some testing with F1. The ride never developed for him. He was just kind of sitting around, and a race driver doesn't like to sit around unless he's sitting in the cockpit.
That's right. Decided to go racing. Was better than waiting on Formula 1 to call, so he just went racing.
Thomas Scheckter and Scott Dixon, they're back in 12th and 13th position. Now, Scheckter went all the way to the back of the pack. In fact, he was like the last driver that was on the lead lap. A.J. Foyt, the 4th now, is a lap off the pace. He went to the back of the pack with that problem we got up in the marbles on that restart. But he's worked his way now back to 12th position. And you're right along with Scott Dixon back there in 13th.
Yeah, he probably lost 10 or 12 spots all in that one little mistake or one time that he got up in the marbles. And boy, it doesn't take much to get those marbles. What happens is those little pieces of rubber lay up there out of the groove. If you get them on the tires, it'll stick to the tires because the tires are so hot. And they call them marbles because that's exactly what they feel like. They just feel like you're rolling around on top of ice.
Well, 95 laps. Actually, 95 laps being worked on the 95th lap. 94 laps now complete. And Vito Mira has led all of them. If we go back through the field, there's Townsend Bell in the 8th position.
It looks like they're all working on Hornish. Hornish had that very good start this time. Made 2 or 3 passes right afterwards, and there goes Dixon around Thomas Scheckter.
So Dixon moves to 12th position.
And look at this, Scott Sharp. He's going to try to make the pass too. No.
Scott Sharp, one of the older drivers out of Connecticut.
Oh!
Hang on, and you think his heart skipped a beat or two on that one?
Man, oh man, I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, and he got that thing, look at that, it cost him 4 or 5 spots.
Yeah, but he's still in the race,
though.
Yeah,
he's still on the racetrack, but he's lucky because, you know, you could see him skating around up there. He was trying to keep that thing under control and get it woed down all at the same time. There goes A.J. Foyt around it.
I was about to say this was his 90th consecutive
start.
There
goes Foyt up in the groove, out of the groove.
Sharp, and he's about to be placed a lap down because there goes the leader. So Sharp now a lap off the pace, back in 18th position. Sharp has started 90 consecutive races, driven more of these IRL events than anyone, and he has won at least one event over each of the last 7 seasons. But the way he's been performing, the way this team has displayed their wares this year, it doesn't look like that will continue.
No, it certainly doesn't. Here comes Buddy Rice. He's going to go to the inside. He's not going to go to the outside and try to pass these guys. Too many guys have gotten up there and gotten themselves in trouble. And so you're going to see most of these guys now, the leaders, trying to pass these lap cars on the inside.
2 weeks ago, we saw the Ray Hall Letterman team was the class of the field. Right now, Mira leads Rice by 2 seconds. He leads Dan Weldon back in 3rd by 4.2 seconds.
Yeah, they have really just pulled away from everybody else in the field after about 10 laps. It takes them about, seems like these cars, both the Ray Hall's cars run better after about 6-8 laps on the tires. The first few laps after the yellow or after the green, they don't seem all that much faster.
Same thing happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, same thing happened 2 weeks ago. The longer a segment went, the faster they got, and the faster Mira got, especially as he would get way behind on the restarts, and then he'd just catch up and start passing guys.
Greg Cates is the chief mechanic in charge of this racing operation for Vito Mira.
See, and Mira's done the same thing. Buddy Rice, until they got into that lap traffic, was right on his tail. Now then, he's lost almost 3 seconds. As Mira, it was either awfully good in traffic or awfully lucky in traffic. I'm not sure which, probably a little both.
He pulls up behind Felipe Giaffoni in that blue and yellow entry. Giaffoni back in the 17th position, driving for the Dreyer Reinbold entry. I understand that young Mr. Foyt is headed back to pit lane. Did not qualify all that well yesterday. Started at the back of the pack. Right now he is 2 laps off the pace. Back in the 19th. Problem with the wing. Let's take a look. Oh, look at this.
Oh, the rear wing's peeling apart.
Still laminating.
Separated, yeah. The rear wing is separated, and this is not the kind of a racetrack where you want that to happen. They're going to see whether they, yeah, see it. It's the aluminum is just kind of split.
Well, fortunately, they caught that. Was able to bring him back in. And
wow.
Is this a duct tape job?
Well, it could be.
Tear it off. Now this is high-tech maintenance right here.
Carbon fiber. See, the carbon fiber is separated. I said aluminum, obviously. It's carbon fiber, and just separated. And now they just pulled apart.
Well, as the maintenance continues, we will tell you that 104 of 200 laps are now complete. Vito leads it.
And thankfully, we've seen him walking away, but this was rather nasty for a moment.
Yes, well, I mean,
we missed it though. You see it in a minute.
Again, it looks like very much the same problem, Dave, with him just finding himself in a I can't help myself position out on the marbles. I mean, he's fine, I'm sure, but he's just smacked the wall very hard as a result of sliding away on the marbles. And this is a problem on this track. It's a problem on a lot of tracks, of course, but there really is just one groove here. And that's slightly worrying for later on in the race for us, because it's going to be hard to see side-by-side competition.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's going to happen. He's walking away, he's fine. Colours of South Africa on his helmet as always.
They buy their ticket, as most of these things do, with NASCAR, so they get a 2-for-1 deal.
You guys were making the point that there's an awful lot of action been happening in the pits throughout this series this season. There have been 1 or 2 near nasty incidents, but so much can happen here, and so many things can go wrong, Chris.
Yes, I mean, our commentators the other side of the water just then showed us the 2 weeks ago incident with the fuel rig falling over. And now look, we've had another problem here. That's Victor Mera's crew, and they've made a mistake. Now, they're killing themselves. He's tried to set off, and he's got a problem. And he's killed the motor, and he's too far away from them to get the engine started again.
What a shame.
And there goes your lead, there goes the end of everything, Vitor. And that was inexperience on his part, slightly. They're just, you know, you just got to do this again and again and again and again to get it right. And he set off too quickly, and now, well, you know, they're under yellow. It's not the end of the world. He can catch back up to the pack. But we were just saying, too much incident in the pit. Here we go again.
Paul, you're not too impressed by this?
Well, no, because unfortunately, yet again, the guy, the left-hand front wheel man here, has sent the car out when it's clear that the vent and pump man is still attached.
Yeah, why does he do that?
They didn't look up.
He didn't look up for sure, but it's a high adrenaline thing. What you've got to remember here, David, is these guys know that track position is everything. Half a second will get you a place. And these guys are all looking for half a second, but unfortunately they need to be looking a little bit higher.
Okay, fellas, thanks very much. Let's go back now and rejoin the action once again with Larry Rice and Gary Lee.
It's got to be devastating him. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He did kill it after they had made the mistake, but you know, that was just a tough break thing, really.
What are they going to do now?
They're going to make sure all the tires are tight. They were trying to get out of there. They just made sure that everything was tight.
Well, with that huge mistake, Buddy Rice assumes the lead on lap 114. So Mira loses the lead with a miscue in the pits.
Watch Weldon on this restart. He knows this is his best chance to lead this race.
Hornish. Watch Hornish on the restart. They scramble for positions, but it's still Buddy Rice, Dan Weldon, Hornish.
Everybody did well that time. Everybody got a good start. The last time we saw a lot of guys, Hornish was one of them, had a terrible restart.
It is 3 wide down that backstretch into turn 3. Look at this, way up on the high sides, that 13 car, Mark Taylor.
Well, they did take the sweeper out there and sweep that second groove off, so maybe, oh, look at this, Mira? That's Mira.
Yeah. On the high side, just past about 4 cars.
Man, and look at Mark Taylor. He goes around hurt on the outside. Nobody told him there's marbles up there.
What do they say about that bull?
Man,
it's up to 11th right now.
And here comes Dixon around Herta. Herta must run into some problems.
Yeah, well, look at this. There goes Mira.
To the outside of Manning.
Takes him to 10th.
Manning did not get a very good restart. He restarted in 8th. He's back to 10th.
Let's go back and take a look at that restart again. Now watch Mira at the back of the pack. Watch Mira.
See how far back he was? He got way back and got a huge jump on those guys.
Wide. Oh, almost contact right there with Mark Taylor.
2, 4, 5, 6. He got 6 cars going into turn 1.
Well, he's in 8th position right now. You said once he got up to 8th, it'd be tough after that. Let's see what happens now. Mira, since that restart, picked up 7 positions. Taylor 4, Hornish just 1.
Wow.
Sharp is a lap off the pace. This is Herta.
Man, oh man. That was a terrific restart by Mira. Terrific restart.
Right now, he is running 5.6 seconds behind his teammate and the leader.
Yeah, and that's Scott Sharp. Scott Sharp is already a lap down. He is getting around Sharp. But Fernandez is the next guy in line that he has to catch and pass for position.
Now working on lap 125.
And you can see how much track position he's lost. He's about 6 seconds behind the leader and almost 5 seconds behind Castroneves.
Giafoni
he's
lapped.
Yeah, he must really be having some sort of trouble.
Hornish is up to 2nd position right now. Weldon is 3rd. Kanaan is 4th. They're trying to get around Giafoni.
Oh, look at this. Kanaan makes a run.
On his teammate. Gets up to 3rd position. Sets sail for Hornish.
So Weldon, I thought he might get a very good start that last time. Instead, he got a not so good start, and now Kanaan's gotten around him.
Vito Mira could use another yellow here. He's back 5.3 seconds behind his teammate and the leader, but he's about 3.5 seconds behind Castroneves.
Yeah, but
the position in front of him.
If you look at the speed, Gary, he's running 2 miles an hour faster than anybody on the racetrack the last time around. 2 miles an hour faster than anybody on the racetrack. So he is definitely on a mission.
Well, don't go away. We got a pretty good finish coming up here because I think he was the early story, and he may be the late story as well.
Well, he's gaining about a half a second a lap on Castroneves, so he is catching him pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, down to he's cut that interval in half between 6th position and 7th position. So as you ride along from inside the helmet cam, after 128 of 200 laps, Buddy Rice continues to lead here in Nashville.
I tell you, Townsend Bell's been impressive today. He's hasn't been very spectacular, but he's hung around in that top 5 all day long after qualifying back in 12th spot. And I think he's done a terrific job. He's not really made any spectacular moves, spectacular passes, but man, oh man, has he been hanging right there with the big boys.
Well, he finished 17th 2 weeks ago after starting in 7th at Kansas in his first ride this season. Right now he's bettering that with a 5th place ride as you ride along with Rice, who continues to lead, enjoying an almost 3-second margin now over Sam Hornish.
Yeah, he's pulled out into a nice lead over everybody else on the racetrack. He's consistently running laps 2 miles an hour faster than everybody else on the racetrack, except for his teammate Vito Mira.
Well, he's won twice. He won at Indianapolis, of course. Then he won at Kansas 2 weeks ago, and right now he looks to be in, as we say in this country, the catbird seat. There's the gap back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, and then there's a little gap from those guys back to Castroneves and Mira.
There's a look at Hornish, and there is Tony Kanaan in 3rd position. Of course, Tony Kanaan is thinking right now about the big picture. He's leading the point standing. Sure, he'd like to win this race, but if he could stay up there around 2nd and 3rd all race long, race after race after race, he could lock his championship up.
Yeah, I'm sure right now they're they're thinking about some sort of pit strategy on this next pit stop to help them gain a spot or two. They've had good pit stops. They've got it in and out, but they've not done anything that's good enough to pass anybody in the pits. So I think right now they're thinking about maybe short fueling, doing something that'll give them advantage to get track position, because track position after this last pit stop is going to be everything.
We're on lap 140 right now. There's a look at Townsend Bell, currently 5th after starting in 12th position.
Yeah, and you can see he's run a very steady, a very precise, a very good race, but not very spectacular. He's not sticking his nose up there. He's not trying to pass anybody. He's just happy to be hanging on there in 5th spot right now.
Right now, Rice enjoying a 4.5 second lead over Hornish. And then it's Kanaan, Weldon, and Bell with 140 of 200 laps now complete. Well, Buddy Rice is simply running away with this. We saw 2 weeks ago he and his teammate ran side by side the last 15 laps of the race, which produced the 2nd closest finish in the history of the Indy Racing League, 51 10,000ths of a second. And it was those two showing the cream of the crop earlier, but with that miscue on the pit stop, you take a look at Vito Mir there on the right of your screen at number 17, and he is battling Castroneves for the 6th position, and they're now 7 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, and as I said, once he caught these guys in the top 5 or 6, it wasn't going to be near as easy to pass them as it was the guys in the back, and he has run into some problems getting around Castroneves. It's very difficult to follow him real close through the corner, and because of that, he hasn't been able to get a run on him.
Well, they've also lost some ground to the leader. At one point, they were only about 5.5 seconds behind the leader, Rice, and now they're over 7 seconds behind the leader. So while they've been battling for position, they have lost some ground on the leader of this race. 143 laps now complete.
Well, Mira's got to figure out some way. There he's going to go to the inside. Let's see if he can.
Well, he figured that out, didn't he?
Boy, he figured that out real quick. Uh-oh, look at, I thought
Castroneves got very, very high.
I thought he was going to get in trouble.
Back up in front with almost a 6-second margin over Sam Hornish is Buddy Rice with one more pit stop to go. But Mira has now gotten around Castroneves, so he is up to 6th position and trying to close in on Townsend Bell. And it's Weldon, Kanaan, and Hornish. But up in front, you ride with the leader on lap 146. Buddy Rice took the lead on lap 114 on that pit stop miscue by his teammate Vito Mira. Mira had led from the opening green the first 113 laps, so he will get the bonus points for leading the most laps.
Well, we're going to see now how good Mira is, because he
has all of them right in front of him.
Yep, he's got
Bell,
2nd,
Weldon,
3rd,
Kanaan, and Hornish.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right smack in front of him. If he can get by these guys, then his teammate better look out.
He can make a pit stop under yellow. But I tell you, he followed Castroneves for a number of laps and then just simply made it look easy. Just turned the steering wheel down to the left, turned down under him, and went on by.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have more trouble than that. He followed him for a couple of laps, and then all of a sudden just looked like he finally figured out what he wanted to do. And boy, when he did, he just went on by him.
Well, maybe he just, as you drivers say, went to school on him and figured out the best place to go by and made the pass stick.
Well, once he got that little bit of a run, he just stuck his nose down in under him. Looks like he's got a run this time on Townsend Bell. There he goes.
And he made the pass.
Just makes the pass.
I tell you what, he may not win this thing, but he's been the cream of the crop here this afternoon.
Well, this is exactly what he did at Indianapolis. The Indianapolis 500 this last year, he did exactly the same thing. He he'd have trouble in the pits. He'd come out, he'd pass everybody, he'd go in the pits, have trouble again. And he passed more cars, I do believe. He and Jeff Simmons probably passed more cars than anybody else at the Indianapolis 500 this year.
Another Brazilian driver that is coming into his own here with this Bobby Rahal, David Letterman owned team, presently in 5th position.
Well,
and once again, he's passed the most cars again here this afternoon.
Right. Well, if I'm one of the other Honda, if I'm Michael Andretti, and I'm one of the Honda teams, I'm thinking, what are these guys doing that we're not? How can they have the same engine we have and still be outrunning us by 2 miles an hour? And they have been consistent.
Because the first third of the season, Andretti Green was the cream of the crop.
Yeah, they were just beating everybody. And all of a sudden, at Indianapolis, about halfway through the month, as a matter of fact, they weren't fast the first part of the month. But about halfway through the month, it seemed like they figured something out, whatever it was.
You say they, you mean
I mean the team. Yeah, I'm talking about the teams. Well, the whole team, because Mira was fast too after qualifying. He was fast.
The Rahal Letterman team got it figured out.
Right, right. Yeah, it wasn't just the drivers. It was the whole team that whatever they did was worked.
Well, right now, this battle back there, the second place car of Hornish is now almost 7 seconds behind your leader right there, Buddy Rice, on lap 152. But remember, we have one more pit stop to go. And we have seen what has transpired the past couple of races in the pit area with Dan Weldon 2 weeks ago pulling over the refueling rig. We saw the miscue by Vito Mira this evening that cost him the lead.
They are going to have to pit here within the next 5 laps, I would think. They've gone 40 laps, some of those under yellow. They might go as many as 50, but if they do, they're going to be pushing the envelope to go 50 laps, I think.
All the pit stops this evening, Larry, have been under yellow.
Yes, they have. Nobody's made a green flag pit stop yet.
This could be the first this evening.
And that could be very significant, too. We'll see which one of these guys gets, because getting into and out of the pits is very important on green flag pit stops. It's just not what you do in the pits, it's getting into the pits and out of the pits.
Well, if they go another 5 laps, they'll be to 160, which would give them then 40 laps to go on that last set of tires. So right now, Rice enjoying a 7.3 second lead over Hornish, then Kanaan, Weldon, and Mira with just that many laps left here at Nashville.
So these guys are going to have to be heading for the pits. They look like Foyt heading for the pits again.
Well, AJ's already 8 laps off the pace. There's Fernandez going by Sharp, who's also 2 laps off the pace.
Here comes Dixon. Looks like he might have had a little run on him, but uh-oh, Fernandez got a little loose there.
Yeah, got a little squirrely, and there goes Dixon to the inside.
That's all it took. Uh-oh,
car against the wall. Another yellow as Herta brings out the yellow these guys were looking for. The 5th yellow of the night on lap 163, Brian Herta. Once again, looks like he just pushed up into the fence and pancaked the car.
I think this was a case of the tires are just getting so old and so worn out.
Look at the tire. Look at the blister.
Oh,
look at the left front tire. That tire's gone.
Well, that was the reason these guys were, I'm surprised they made it that far. They made it 48 laps, probably 44 or 45 under green on that set of tires. So that was...
look at that tire.
Man.
Look at that. Have we seen a tire that bad?
Well, no. Unless he was hard on the brakes, but it wouldn't have flat spotted it like that. That looks like a huge piece of rubber has come out of that tire.
And the tire's not that thick anyway, so...
No.
See, down below, this part down below, that's from braking.
Right.
This is from being blistered up there.
I agree.
Let's take a look again, Larry, and see if we can analyze what happened. Let's go back on board.
He just got up in the marbles right there. Let's just see. Once it got up there, that thing just wouldn't turn. Doesn't matter how far left you turn those wheels, the car is not going to turn.
So once again, our 5th yellow of this race. We're on lap 164 right now, and this will be the last pit stop for our leaders. This could be an advantage for Mira, who's trying to once again get in a position to challenge for the victory.
So it's our 5th yellow of the race. The race has been interrupted yet again, but there have been 1 or 2 outstanding performances tonight, Chris.
Well, I mean, of course, one of the effects of this yellow we're looking at now, and let's hope that this time his pit crew don't make a mess of it, is Vitor Meira's absolutely astonishing recovery from the mess his pit crew made last time around. He's come charging through the field. We saw him taking 6 places. Oh, it's very tight in the pit lane, isn't it?
Sorry, just to jump in there, it's probably worth noting that these guys are all short filling because we don't need a lot of fuel now to the end of this race, and there could be some good position changes here.
Okay, boys, thank you very much indeed. So let's now go back to the action, hopefully racing again very soon. Once again, let's go back to the Nashville Superspeedway.
So under the yellow, Danny Weldon was the first to get out. The Andretti Green team got him out in front of Rice.
Wow, that's a huge, huge advantage. I don't know for sure if they short pitted. I don't think they put a full load of fuel in there. They almost had the short pit, and they really don't need a full load of fuel. So it might have won them the race by doing that.
Well, 2 advantages. One, they pick up the track position, but also the car is lighter if it doesn't need that entire fuel load.
The timed fuel stop. Timed fuel stop, so it should be a huge advantage for him.
We have seen Rice be the fastest on the racetrack under race conditions. On the restarts, Weldon, Rice, Hornish, Kanaan, Kasnowitz, Bell, Dixon. Mira had a terrible pit stop, comes back in 9th position, went in 5th, comes out in 9th.
Well, that cost him dearly. He had to have a good pit stop to win this race because he won't win it now from back.
Bell got around him, Dixon got around him, Fernandez got around him, Kasnowitz got around him.
Well, they definitely needed to have a good pit stop there to have a chance to win the race because it's going to be almost virtually impossible for him to do it from 9th position with probably only 30 laps to go when the green flag falls.
But keep in mind, if we get the green flag with 30 laps to go, at the end of that run, those tires are going to be gone again.
Well, yeah, they won't be as gone as they were that time. They ran like 45 laps on that time. That's the longest green flag segment we've had all race long. And we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
To look at Vitor Meira. Okay, now here's a replay of the pit stop. Rice is the first in. There's Hornish right behind him, then Kanaan. Now Weldon goes on by. There's a look at Hornish coming in.
Hornish had a good pit stop. I mean, they did nothing wrong. Looked like they were a little bit long on the fueling. That's why I think Weldon's short fueled. See, the fuel hose was the last thing to come out on all those guys. I bet you if we had a replay of Weldon that they pulled the fuel hose out when the tires were done. No matter how much fuel was in there.
Remember, he won a race a few races back because of some pit strategy.
Yep, they sure did.
Where they short stopped and put just enough fuel in to go the distance now with 167 laps complete here at Nashville. Well, Mr. Rice, we've seen a number of races won by pit strategy. And the question now, though, is can he hold off Buddy Rice? Because Rice has been by far the fastest throughout the race.
Buddy Rice is very strong. I don't think even with that pit strategy he'll be able to hold him off for very long. Buddy Rice
say he's been the fastest all day because Vitor Meira led the first
yeah.
113 circuits, but since that miscue on lap 114, Rice had pulled out to about a 6-second advantage for that last yellow.
Right. And Scott Dixon's up in the 7th place now. That's the farthest up he's been for quite some time. So he's having all of a sudden a fairly decent run out of what's been pretty much a lousy year for him.
His finish was 2nd at Phoenix. He had a 5th at Motegi, but he's either up there or he's crashing out or he's at the back of the pack. It's not been the kind of season that we would expect from the defending champion.
Right.
Good ride for Townsend Bell there. Car number 2, he's back in the 6th position. That's the best Chevrolet so far. You have Honda's 1-2 right now in Weldon and Rice. Then Hornish has the Toyota-powered entry back in the 3rd position. Of course, we've had the lights on here for a number of laps. It's not going to be as dark as I thought it would be because actually the race, the local time here started early.
Right. Right, so it will not be completely dark when this race is over, but still, it's dark enough that they had to, you know, turn the lights on here probably 20 laps ago.
We have 169 laps now complete. You see the tractor out there trying to brush some of the marbles up to the very, very high side next to the outside wall to prevent these guys from pancaking. Whoa! Bell almost hit an emergency truck. Wow. Oh! Bell almost got the emergency truck. What was he watching?
I don't know, but man, oh man.
He wasn't watching where he was going.
Those guys were jumping out of the way.
I remember Mario Andretti one time hit a service truck on a temporary road course. Field summary with Weldon, Rice, Hornish, Kanan, Castronovitz, Bell, Dixon, Fernandez. Might be kind of fun, Larry, to see how many cars Mir can pass on his restart if he can do like he did the last time.
See if he can get by with that again. He got by with it the first time. We'll see if he can do it again.
See the clouds building off to the outside of turn 1. Won't likely affect the outcome of this event. We had a forecast of isolated thunderstorms this afternoon, this evening, but the weather has been warm but dry here today. Yeah, that had to give those guys a scare because he got very, very close to the left rear fender of that service truck. So once again, 170 laps now complete. We remain under yellow here at Nashville Superspeedway. Your leader on that last pit stop, Dan Weldon, took the lead over Buddy Rice. Hornish will be third on the restart, then Kanan, Castronovitz, and Bell. Taking a little longer to clean this wreck up, Larry. And so the laps wind down, which simply means that Mr. Mir will have fewer laps to come from mid-pack.
Yeah, he's only going to have maybe 25 laps to go when the green flag falls. So he's going to have to do some pretty good magic if he wants to get back up front after that. The guy in the catbird seat is Dan Weldon, but boy, with Buddy Rice running as well as he's run here the last 50 laps.
I don't know. I honestly don't think he can hold him back. I really don't. He can make a quick pit stop and put less fuel in, but I don't know that he can hold him off.
Well, it's the only chance he had to win this race, and they made it work one other time. I mean, when he won at Richmond, he hadn't even been in contention. He wasn't even in the top 10.
He qualified at the back of the pack.
Yeah, he wasn't even in the top 10 all night long, but because of that good pit strategy, they won that race, and they were hoping to do the same thing here, and good for them. You know, that's what the race is all about. If you can outsmart the other guy, it's just as good as outrunning them.
Well, you see the safety crew is still out there. We talk about going to Milwaukee next week, then it's off to Michigan at the end of the month. Then Kentucky, Pikes Peak, Nazareth, Chicago, California. The final race of the season, October 17th at Texas Motor Speedway. The restart order still under yellow with Weldon, Rice, Hornish, Kanan, Castronovitz, and Bell.
Well, we got just a second. I want to say hello to Willie Kay and Glennis down in New Zealand. They're heading for the United States here. Watch some good old racing up here the next few weeks, and
coming to the States to watch the Brickyard 400 at the Indy Motor Speedway.
Got a group they always bring. They can bring up here a couple times a year, and look forward to seeing them.
You'll bring them all down to Whiteland Raceway to run the karts, won't you? You can see as we look back at the leader from the Pace vehicle, that SSR Chevrolet pickup truck. The safety crew still out there.
Well, they've got a lot of debris, but they're also cleaning up a lot of the marbles down the racetrack, trying to make sure that there's going to be nothing out there that's going to cause anybody any trouble on the restarts. You can see right there, Buddy Rice, he went way up high just to test the marbles on that. If we look back, he went way high into turn number 3 and then started just scrubbing the tires just to get all those marbles scrubbed off. That's what they're doing. They're not trying to heat the tires. They're trying to knock all those marbles off.
Our 5th yellow. We had 2 for debris. The Carpenter crash, the Schechter crash, now the Brian Herta crash, with 172 of 200 laps now complete. Weldon looking to pick up his 3rd win of the year and advance his position in the point standings. He is now 2nd to his teammate Tony Kanaan by 28 points. Buddy Rice is third in the point standings with 50 back. Then Castroneves and then Brian Herta, who now is out of the race. It looks like maybe Mr. Foyt will be out of the race as he pulls off the racing surface.
Yeah, you can see the banking there as he pulled off.
That
right
will prolong perhaps this yellow.
Yeah.
See, they got that wing, side that wing fixed.
There you can see the tires. You can see how they're scrubbing off. There, it's real. This is a very, very abrasive surface, and it just grinds the rubber off. They brought their hardest tire that they have, and it's still just grinding the rubber off on this concrete.
The only saving grace for Mr. Vito Mira is the fact that he will get the bonus points for leading the most laps here this evening. 113. He led from the opening green through a couple of pit stops, but his third pit stop was his undoing, and didn't have a great pit stop the last time.
No, he certainly didn't. And his laps keep winding down, which is not doing him any favors.
Once again, under yellow, 175 laps will be complete, 25 laps to go with Weldon, Rice, Hornish, the top three on this restart. Live coverage. Gary Lee, Larry Rice from Nashville, Tennessee. It's about a 5-hour drive for us to get back to Indianapolis tonight. Actually, Nashville just about due south of Indianapolis. A.J. Foyt got a tow back into the pit area. They've got the car up on jacks and not moving all that fast, so race may be over for Mr. Foyt.
They're putting a starter in. They're going to try to refire it, see if they can figure out what's going on. Well, it did refire, so now they're going to put it up in the air and
change the tires and
go back out, I guess. Put some fuel in it.
Okay, we're being told now from timing and scoring that in one lap we will turn them loose.
Well, this is going to be interesting. If Buddy Rice is as strong as we think he is, he should be, if he's going to get around Weldon, I think he's going to have to do it in the first couple of laps. Weldon is going to build some momentum if he gets out in front. So I think you're going to see
all the oil dry being kicked up there by the pace car.
A lot of oil dry back there, oil from the crash. So
there goes Mr. Foyt. He's driving the T car.
Yeah.
Backup car.
Well, they're not going to get the green this time. The pace car is still out there, so they get one to go this time around.
There's the pearl flag. Brian Howard indicating one more lap before they turn them loose, so they'll get the green flag as they complete lap 177. 23 laps then to race. Will that be enough for Mr. Mira to pick up a few positions?
Well, I just don't think Vito Mira can do. That'd be pretty much a magic act if he could get that many cars. But he possibly could end up in the top
3 or 4, 5.
Yeah, 3 or 4 or 5. Weldon, Rice.
It all depends on how many he can get by on that restart.
Right, exactly. If he gets,
he can nail 3 or 4 or 5 guys on the restart, then he's got a chance to be in the top 4 or 5. If he's restarting.
Well, looks like Buddy Rice got a pretty good run. Nope, maybe not. Yes, he did.
What's he going to do on the inside move right here?
Oh!
He's going to take out both of them. Did they save it? They saved it.
Oh,
how in the world did they save it?
Everybody behind him. Oh, there
more contact. He's got the wing. He's got the wing messed up. So he's going to the back of the pack. How in the world did they keep those 2 cars off the fence?
I don't know. Man, oh man.
Well, he's not going to win this one.
Now he's going to go to the back because
they brought the caution out.
Well, the right front wing is loose on that car, and I'm sure they're going to have him come in because it's dragging the ground. See, it's rubbing against the ground. It's rubbing against his right front tire, so they're going to black flag him, make him come in.
Oh boy, but still, how in the world did those 2 guys not end up in the fence?
Under normal circumstances, this would have been a big-time crash.
Weldon, maybe a couple of guys out behind him.
When Weldon moved down,
look at this.
Weldon just came down and came down on him. But how in the world they didn't crash right there, I'll never know. Let's see if we can get a look from outside the cockpit. Yeah, Weldon just came down. Oh, look at all the debris. That's why the yellow. There was lots of debris everywhere out there. You can see.
Well, and there's the 51 of Alex Barron.
Yeah, he's unbuckling. He's out of the race. So
here 2 years ago is out of the race.
Wow, what a turn of events. And while these guys were battling, Darren Manning got up into 4th spot. So and Vito Mira did not gain hardly any spots. So
you're going to gain a spot now on his teammate because Buddy Rice will be in to change the front nose piece, the front wing. So you have Andretti Green out 1-2 right now. Hornish is 3rd. Here comes number 15.
Well,
at least this is under yellow for him.
I think he did what he had to do. He stuck his nose in there. You can see he was up pretty far. And Manning just came down on him. You know, might have been Manning. I might have done the same thing. Or not Manning, Weldon, sorry. Weldon came down on him. And
we just assume we're talking about Manning hitting people. He's actually driven a clean race
today. Yes, he had a very good race today.
He's had a good race. He's up in the 4th position.
Yeah. See how quickly they got that done? That was very, very quick. But he's still going to be back in about 13th spot, so he can gain a few spots, but he's going to be lucky to be in the top 8.
This could really be costly in the point standings. I mean, we're at the halfway point in the season. Look at the day. Look at
where the hit marks. He was up almost side by side with Weldon. The right front hit clear up by the driver.
One of those cars should have been airborne.
Boy,
when those 2 tires hit.
How they keep from getting airborne. I've seen several accidents like that, and how they keep from getting airborne, I just don't understand.
Okay, we should get the green flag as they complete 182. We'll have about 18 laps to settle this thing. So we have Andretti Green up in front, then we have Penske back in 3rd, then we have the Target Ganassi team in 4th, and Penske's team in 5th. And Townsend Bell with a good solid ride in 6th position. Mira will restart in 7th. And Mira not up with this other unless he's laying back on purpose to get a run on these guys. Look at this, 3 wide.
Kanaan to the outside. Hornish is right with him.
And Kanaan's going to be the 4th leader of this race this evening.
And I think Weldon's got a problem. He's really slowed way down. Look at Manning. Manning went to the inside, and Weldon's got a problem. That
Look at Vitor on the inside of Townsend Bell. He goes around Bell.
So Vito Mira has moved all the way from 9th to 4th.
Wow. Incredible.
9th to 4th.
Incredible.
Well, at the beginning of the broadcast, we said that restarts were going to be very critical. We didn't think they were going to be this critical, though. Look at this.
By Castro-Neves. And there may be a problem with Vitor. Castro-Neves goes by.
Yeah, he's got a problem. There's
the yellow. Yep, there goes the right rear. Now we can keep it out of everybody else's way. And our 7th caution of the day, and that's for Weldon.
The right rear tire that just absolutely came apart. Now, I'm a little surprised at that. If it had been the left rear, I would not have been surprised. But it was the right rear that came apart. He might have run over some debris, though.
Now, how long will this yellow be?
Man, oh man. I wonder what happened to Mira. I mean, he got up to 4th. Looked like he was
back to 6th.
Yeah.
Castro-Neves and Bell got around him, so Kanaan will lead this thing. We're on lap 185. It'll be about a 10-11 lap shootout to victory lane here in Nashville. So Kanaan, Hornish, Manning, Castro-Neves, Bell, Mira, Taylor, but this thing ain't over.
Well, yeah,
this thing ain't over.
For a race that we
thought was going to run 1-2.
Yeah. It just looked like this 2 guys were going to run away with it and make it a lousy race. It's been anything but a lousy race as all the developments here in the last 15 or 20 laps.
Trying to get him back out on the lead lap.
Well,
may have him back out there.
Yeah, he's not gonna lose a lap, but he's gonna be.
Okay, well, the closing dramatic laps of this race, and what an eventful finish it's turning out to be. Dan Weldon involved in all sorts of happenings here. And Paul, what do you make of what we've just seen? An extraordinary sequence of events.
Yes, well, that outside rear tyre, it's only my thoughts, but I think when he was pushed sideways, because he was pushed sideways at speed, that tyre was scuffed quite considerably.
Yeah.
And remember, you're only talking about a couple of 3 millimeters of rubber over canvas. Once you get to the canvas, that obviously exploded, as we saw. The whole thing just parted company. And rightly, they've just brought him in, put one tyre to get him out for points, because he's not going to win it.
No, just make it through to the finish and get some points.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got 14 laps or something.
But what about the incident just before that, Chris, when Dan Weldon was involved? I mean, it's extraordinary. Two or three cars in close proximity. How on earth there wasn't a major incident? I don't know. And when they touched.
Well, I mean, Paul and I were just saying, I mean, I think between us we've seen quite a few oval races over the last few years, and I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen someone get saved like that. His front tyre rolled back into Weldon's rear tyre, and that to have saved from there, I think probably because he tapped him again just as Weldon was about to get flung into the wall. So young Dan Weldon, very lucky boy not to have had a big accident there.
Okay, fellas, thank you very much. Let's go back now and see what happens in the last few laps. Once back again, we go to the Nashville Superspeedway, the Indy 200.
That was Castroneves. That's Castroneves that got the run on the outside.
That a little too soon. I'm not sure. So now you got the Penske cars back in second and third. You're riding with Townsend Bell right now.
Yeah, and Mira did not get a good restart. But
Hornish is in second. Castroneves third. So will Hornish have something for this number 11 car? You've got a Honda out in front, then 3 Toyotas in Hornish, Castroneves, and Manning. We talked about this track being a handling track over horsepower. Well, let's see what Hornish has for Kanaan. Kanaan goes after his 3rd win of the year. Hornish his 2nd win of the year.
Well, Hornish right now is looking pretty strong. It appears though that Hornish's car gets worse as the segment goes along. If he's going to get around him,
this is not going to be a very long segment.
No, he needs to get around him here pretty soon, because he's the very strongest right after the yellows when the tires are very fresh.
Well, Hornish only 115 points behind Tony Kanaan. Now, if he won this thing and Kanaan finished 2nd, he wouldn't gain much.
Look at Castroneves.
Been so consistent.
Castroneves very strong right now.
And Taylor has gotten around Mira, so Mira has dropped to 8th position, and he's being challenged for that spot by Dixon. So apparently something wrong with car number 17.
Whatever happened to him after that last restart, he's fallen off the pace. I'm not sure what it is, but he's just not going to be in contention.
Well, you see all the fans here, about 50,000 strong on their feet. Now remember, Hornish likes the outside. There is not much of an outside groove on this racetrack. The safety crew has been trying to, under every yellow, brush as much of the debris off the track, as much marbles as they can. So let's see if there is an outside groove for Mr. Hornish.
Yeah, I think Tony Kanaan has got things pretty much his own way. It's like Dan Weldon.
Yeah, got up very high out of the way.
He just got out of the way and said, I'm not going to battle these guys.
Well, Rice has moved up to 6th position now. After that restart, he came from the back of the pack.
Wow.
Back in 12th position.
That's a long way to come, but he doesn't have enough laps left to get up there and battle these guys, I don't think.
Unless they take each other out, and then the yellow would come out, and that'd be the end of the race.
Well, right now, Sam Hornish is, believe me, he's not sitting back there just following. He's trying to figure out a way to do it. And I just don't think he's got anything left in his trick bag. He's got a trick bag left. He better pull it out pretty soon. Only 6 laps to go.
Right now in 4th position. That would equal his best finish of the year. He was 4th at Motegi. Right now, Kanaan over Hornish, Castroneves, Manning, Bell with a good solid ride back in 5th position. Keep in mind that Mr. Hornish has been involved in, 3 of the 5 closest finishes in the IRL history. I don't think we're going to set up for that type of a close photo finish here, but we've seen him take the lead with the last 2 laps to go.
Yeah, he'll give her the old college try if there's anything left at all. He'll try to make it work, but I just don't think with this racetrack and everything else that's been going on, the marbles up there, that he's got much left for that Honda of Tony Kanan's.
Kanan got the lead on lap 183. There's 3 laps remaining. The Honda's out in front, then 3 Toyotas in Hornish, Castroneves, and Manning. The best Chevrolet is Bell, and Townsend back in 5th position. Rice is 6th, and Taylor, Dixon, Matsura. Mira has dropped all the way to 12th position.
Well, you can see Hornish, he's riding about a half a car length higher than Kanan going through the corners. Maybe he's trying to figure out
maybe he's trying to bring Kanan up a little bit and then make that move to the inside, which is how he won at Homestead, the very first race of the season, against his teammate.
But look, he is running closer to him. I mean, he's closer through the corners now than he has been on the last few laps.
White flag this next time by, a lap and a half to go. Now let's see what he has for him in the final lap of the race. Down the back stretch. Look at this. Look at that blocking. Kanan's blocking. Here comes Hornish on the contact. There was contact on the right front wing, and Kanan's going to win this thing. Kanan was blocking for all there was to it. But he's going to win for the 3rd time this season. I wonder what Mr. Brian Barnhart might have to say about that move.
I don't know, but if he doesn't say something to somebody, then he's not doing his job, because they definitely moved all over the racetrack trying to keep Sam Hornish behind him. And I don't think Mr. Hornish is very happy.
He doesn't like that at all. As the 3rd victory of the year for Kanan. And that will certainly help him in the point standings towards that championship. But right now, I'm sure Mr. Penske's not very happy, and I'm sure Mr. Hornish is not very happy, because that was as blatant as you're going to find.
Well, he certainly moved moved up and down the racetrack. There's no question about that. And Brian Barnhart has been very adamant about not doing that. So we'll see.
So the customary donuts.
Man, oh man, looks like he's broken only one tire.
Only one tire's moving.
Yeah, I wonder if he's broken the half shaft. Right there at the end of the race, or after the race is over.
With the half shaft brakes, you're going to make an abrupt turn and clout the wall. That time, well, of course, that was the contact. That's where the contact was on Hornish's car.
Yeah, could have been.
So Tony Kanaan is parked down there in the grass after doing his donuts, doing the burnouts.
Wow.
They may have to physically push that car back to victory lane.
Yeah, I think they probably will. I don't think that thing's going to get restarted back out there again. So
he has time for a big gulp before he goes to victory lane. Unofficially, Tony Kanaan wins it over Sam Hornish, Castroneves, Manning, Bell, Rice gets back to 6th position. You go all the way back to 12th position. Vitor Mira, who early on was the class of the field, had that miscue in the pit lane that really took him out of contention. And so Kanaan, his 3rd win of the year.
Well, Mark Taylor had a good run. He ran 7th, so that's a good job for Mark Taylor.
Dan Weldon.
So there we are. It's congratulations to Tony. There's certainly a controversial finish to the race. Let's just get a quick reaction from the boys here. Paul, what did you make of that? Do you think we've not heard the last of the way this race was finished?
I think we haven't heard the last of it. Not the last race, but the previous one to that. There was a controversial decision by Brian Barnhart, who moved the position of 2 cars, and I think we may well see this by the next race. Maybe Kanaan has been penalised in some fashion,
yes,
because you are allowed to defend once in the RL. It's not like European racing.
And Christopher, Buddy Rice, I know you feel maybe should not have been allowed to finish 6th.
Well, I mean, in view of what happened earlier on, where he was certainly the guilty party in dealing with Dan Weldon's car in the way he did, just strange that he came in, did a nose cone change as we saw. The boys did a good job, and the Rahal boys really did a good job. But he went straight out again, and there was no penalty, no stop and go. I think Brian Barnhart, who runs all the rules and regs for the IRL, is going to have to make some fast decisions tonight.
Well, Tony Kanaan's our winner, but we've got to give huge credit to a couple of British guys. Darren Manning, who drove quite a solid race without ever really getting too involved, but he's finished 4th, and Mark Taylor in 7th.
Yeah, I mean, for Mark to come back from what has been for him a dismal start to the season, unfortunately given the sack from the drive he's in, to get into what is certainly an underrated team.
Yeah.
But they have a G-Force and they have a Honda. And he kept out of trouble, got his first race finish, and in 7th place as well.
And Darren too, he needed that sort of performance because he's been under a bit of pressure. Chris, I know he's attracted a little bit of controversy, bit of comment in the States.
Yes, in the States, funnily enough, I think a lot of us who've watched have thought that some of that has been a little unfair. You know, the focus has been on him because he is a big flamboyant character and is inclined to tell everybody what he thinks. He's a little bit of a reputation, but I think some of it is deserved. But I'm really glad he got a sensible result. 4th is well done, Darren Manning.
Yeah, and obviously we're hoping that both those drivers will continue to improve on that, really.
Yep, should do, and Darren will be very conscious that it's contract renewal time at Chip Ganassi Racing coming up quite soon.
He doesn't tolerate failure, does he, easily? He tends to get rid of people if they don't
Well, that's
succeed.
right. I mean, Scott Dixon has had a very mediocre season, and it won't have helped that he was 8th today and Manning was 4th. Hard to think that just a few weeks ago, Scott Dixon thought he was in contention for a seat at Williams Grand Prix.
And Paul, looking at those top 6 finishes, we haven't mentioned Castroneves. I don't know, you obviously can't mention everyone. Was there anything about the race you felt that he deserved to be in 3rd place?
Penske's always deserve their results. They work very hard, but certainly this was a race which favoured luck, nothing else. I mean, it was a very mediocre number of cars on the right lap at the right moment.
Okay, fine. And just summing up at this stage, that was a very good performance for Tony Kanaan if he keeps it. I mean, who knows what will happen with his race position. I guess he will.
He won't be thrown out, but they may just reverse 1st and 2nd or put a points penalty in. But the thing with the IRL is they will not do that on the day as we would in Europe because the TV are there. They're showing the champagne now. Okay, let's just confirm then the standings, shall we? And here we go. After, as you can see, after 8 of the 16, Tony Kanaan with a commendable lead, sizable too, ahead of Dan Weldon, Buddy Rice in 3rd, Castroneves, who finished 3rd tonight, he's currently 4th in those standings. Sam Hornish, who was 2nd, he's now 5th, and Scott Dixon in 6th place. Those are the top 6 after 8 of 16 races. A lot yet to happen, and of course with points right the way down the field, so much can still happen, but it does look pretty good at the moment for Tony Kanaan. But as we've seen, hopeful sights for the British contingent, and good success indeed for them. So let's just get a final thought on the way we are before we go into our next action, Paul. Well, again, it was an interesting race. There was a lot of yellows as we had last year, and it favoured the brave for sure. And Chris, it's, as we say, heading into the 2nd half of the season now?
Well, that's a big points lead now that Kanaan has got, and Andretti Green Racing looked very strong. First 2 cars in the championship, and I think it's going to be tough to catch Tony Kanaan in the 2nd half of the year.
Thank you, boys, very much indeed. That is just about it for this time. Congratulations to our winner, Tony Kanaan. We will, of course, be back next weekend for round 9 of the Indy Racing League from the Milwaukee Mile. As you can see, it's the Menards AJ Foyt Indy 225. You can see it live here next Sunday, the 25th of July, 8:30 on Sky Sports Extra. So there we are. My thanks to our guests, Chris Tate and Paul Cherry, as always. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you, too, at home for watching. We're going to leave you now with some of the best action from tonight's Firestone Indy 200. From all of us, it's goodbye.